In this video, I want to look at the horror genre. The genre has changed from its beginnings during the 1930s with the classic monster films like Dracula and Frankenstein, to more modern horrors such as A Quiet Place and It. However, all still rely on the use of the uncanny to shock and unnerve us all as an audience. The uncanny can at times difficult to define, as the definition changes depending on which dictionary you use or which essayist you consult. With the Oxford English Dictionary, one of its definitions is of persons not quite safe to trust or have dealings with, as being associated with supernatural arts or powers, or partaking of a supernatural character, mysterious, weird, uncomfortably strange or unfamiliar. A better explanation can be found in Nicholas Royale's The Uncanny. The uncanny is not simply an experience of strangeness or alienation. More specifically, it is a particular coupling of the familiar and unfamiliar. It takes the form of something familiar unexpectedly arising in a strange and unfamiliar context, or of something strange and unfamiliar unexpectedly arising in a familiar context. The sources I have chosen, 10 Steps, Nightmares, and Unwind, have elements of the uncanny within at some point, either through a gradual and steady change, or by a sudden shock, and all use elements of short film theories to achieve this. In Edgar Poe's writing of the unity of effect, he discusses when writing The Raven that he kept a portrayal in mind of a feeling to direct his writing to his desired outcome, rather than find key points to write about and use filler to connect it together. On top of this, using reoccurring words, pronunciation and structure to emphasize the desired feeling. In the horror genre, Poe's unity of effect would work rather well, as most horror would want to leave an audience with a feeling of despair or to unnerve at some point. Nightmares puts its protagonist in an everyday location that would be familiar, but it takes gradual changes of the uncanny every time the protagonist re-enters the AR or augmented reality world that we, the audience, see through a point of view shot. This is a similar effect to how Poe's poem has its structure, with every differing sentence pushing the reader forward, and with Nightmares, it's the differing point of view shot juxtaposed with the beginning mid-shot that slowly creeps forward to a close-up shot of the protagonist, slowly descending us, the audience, into uncertainty. Unwind also uses elements of Poe's idea, as again we are limited to only 2 shots to understand the setting around the main protagonist. We are in an operating theatre, a place that is familiar to people through depictions in other media. However, we see that protagonist is still kept conscious, which is something unexpected. A part of Poe's unity of effect can be heard. Just as he uses the name Lenore and the word nevermore to bring a sense of dread, we hear the constant beep of the medical equipment and the whirring of the tools being used to harvest our protagonist's body parts, placing the audience further into the position of the protagonist. Richard Raskin's theory, 5 parameters for story design, highlights key areas to focus on while making a short film. With the horror genre, it is often that characters are typecast and act without independent thought, or that the audience is overloaded with information, or is given barely any to understand the set and gravity of the film. 10 Steps is a great example on how to use the parameter of simplicity and depth to allow audiences to know the story and how it suddenly changes at the end to push towards the uncanny. We know that there are 2 siblings. One is babysitting, and the parents are away having an important meal. The audience is slowly fed information about where the siblings are, what significance it has, and what significance the relationship is between the siblings. To know the protagonist doesn't have much control in this new location and that she has a fear of the dark basement puts a new light onto how she is feeling, being nearly by herself, and why she becomes hesitant to enter the basement. So, when we hear her continue to count beyond the 10th step, we understand, or have a lack of understanding, on how it's possible, driving towards the uncanny.
12, 13, 14.
With Nightmares, focus on Raskin's theory with the use of the character and object parameter. The sole focus of the short film is having the protagonist interact with the AR headset. The object itself is the driving force, with slight changes happening every time it is used, slowly altering the surrounding environment. The causality and choice parameter is also in play, as although the main protagonist seems to go against her will in choosing to continue with the use of the AR headset, it is in the character's curiosity, where we are shown choice. We are shown that she is wearing the headset at the beginning, coupled with later dialogue that gives us her choice. This can feed us, the audience, into a similar experience, where although we are watching a known horror short film, we continue to watch the uncanny unfold, and it is our own choice to continue.
It's not real. It's only a game. It's only a game.
As the horror genre continues to change, key fundamentals will rarely differ. Elements of Poe's unity of effect and Raskin's 5 parameters will continue to be seen in short fiction films to come to recreate a recreational terror for all to enjoy. As Royale discusses recreational terror, he uses what another theorist, Isabel Pindo, describing it as the fan audience encounters the horror genre with the expectation of experiencing recreational terror, a bounded experience of fear that includes elements of the uncanny.